Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why some people rise from nothing, break every barrier, and rewrite their destiny, while others, with every opportunity in their hands, stay exactly where they are? The difference is not luck, not talent, and not privilege. It is the courage to educate yourself beyond the limits of the world around you. There comes a moment in life when you realize that no teacher, no classroom, no certificate can ever define your potential. That moment often comes quietly, maybe after a rejection, maybe after being underestimated, maybe after life pushes you into a corner where the only way forward is to learn, to evolve, and to teach yourself what the world never taught you. Self-education is not just about books or courses. It is a rebellion. It is a declaration that you refuse to be shaped by circumstances and instead choose to shape yourself. When you decide to learn on your own terms, you stop waiting for permission. You stop asking for validation. You stop hoping someone will guide you. You become unstoppable. Self-education turns your pain into power. There are moments in life when the weight of your pain feels unbearable, when you look at your reflection and question whether you will ever rise again. And it is in these moments that self-education becomes more than learning. It becomes a lifeline that pulls you out of the darkness. You begin to realize that you do not have to stay broken. You do not have to remain defined by what hurt you, because knowledge slowly becomes the hand that helps you stand again. Self-education teaches you that every wound carries a message, every scar holds wisdom, and every setback can be the beginning of a breakthrough. When you take the time to learn, to understand, and to grow through what you have lived, the pieces of your story that once made you feel weak begin to illuminate a strength you never knew existed. Pain often isolates you, but learning brings connection. Connection with your inner world, connection with your forgotten dreams, connection with the version of yourself that is waiting to be rediscovered. Through every book you read, every lesson you embrace, and every insight you uncover, you walk closer toward becoming someone who transforms suffering into resilience. There comes a stage when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and instead begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift becomes the turning point where pain loses its power to break you and instead guides you toward a deeper, stronger version of yourself. You learn that nothing you survived was wasted, because every hardship carries the potential to shape a new dimension of your strength. Self-education gives you permission to redefine your narrative. It shows you that your pain does not make you powerless. It makes you aware. It makes you compassionate. It makes you capable of understanding life on a profound level. And when you decide to grow from it rather than shrink under it, your story becomes a source of light for both yourself and others. With time, the knowledge you gather becomes a shield. It protects you from repeating old patterns, from falling back into old wounds, from believing that your suffering was a limitation. Learning empowers you to create boundaries, to make wiser choices, and to build a life that honors the strength you earned through survival. Eventually, you begin to understand that the greatest transformation happens when you allow your pain to educate you. And in that quiet awakening, you discover a power you never recognized before, a power born not from perfection, but from the courage to rise, learn, and rebuild yourself piece by piece. Self-education frees you from limitations. There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize that the world has placed invisible walls around you, walls built from fear, doubt, and the expectations of others. Self-education becomes a force that lifts your eyes above those walls and reminds you that you are capable of far more than anyone has ever imagined. When you teach yourself, you stop waiting for doors to open because you learn how to carve your own. No rejection scares you. No failure stops you, because every new skill and every new idea becomes an opportunity you created for yourself. You finally understand that knowledge expands your path in ways no one else could. There is a unique kind of freedom that comes with self-education, a freedom from the limitations of your past, your environment, and the voices that told you what you could not do. You begin to see that your life does not have to look like the place you came from, because learning can take you anywhere you choose to go. Through self-education, you realize that your circumstances were never a ceiling. They were only a starting point. You begin to shape your identity not based on what you lacked, but on what you were courageous enough to learn. Every lesson becomes a reminder that you can rise from any place if you choose to grow. You discover that many limitations were illusions created by your own mind, and knowledge becomes the light that dissolves those illusions. Each time you learn, your world expands. Each time you challenge yourself, your horizon widens. Obstacles no longer feel like dead ends, but like invitations to become better. Self-education also teaches you that you are not defined by your surroundings. You learn to rise above the noise, above the doubts, above the standards set for you. When you trust your ability to learn, you trust your ability to adapt, and that trust becomes the freedom that lifts you into a larger life. As you evolve, the world around you begins to appear different, not because it changed, but because you did. The limitations that once held you back lose their power, and you enter a life where you no longer seek permission to rise. You rise simply because you finally know you can. Self-education builds relentless confidence. Confidence is not born in the moments when people celebrate you. It is born in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It appears when you sit with your doubts, your insecurities, your fears, and you choose to learn anyway. You learn not because you have to, but because you believe you deserve to grow. There is a different kind of certainty that comes from teaching yourself. It is not borrowed, not temporary, not dependent on praise. It is built from the nights you spent understanding something new, from the challenges you faced alone, from the courage it takes to admit you do not know something and still decide to learn. Self-education becomes the bridge between who you are and who you believe you can become. With every lesson, you strengthen that bridge. With every skill, you widen it. You begin to trust not only your abilities, but also your capacity to grow beyond what you once thought was possible. As you learn, you begin to understand yourself more deeply. You notice strengths you overlooked, abilities you ignored, and potential you never acknowledged. Learning shows you that you are capable. And when you truly feel capable, confidence becomes a natural result. There is a beautiful shift that happens when you build confidence through learning. You no longer fear making mistakes because you see them as stepping stones. You no longer feel threatened by what you do not know because you trust yourself to figure it out. Knowledge turns insecurity into self-belief. Self-education also gives you the confidence to take risks. You learn to face challenges with an open heart, knowing you have the tools to grow through anything. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that do not honor your potential, because confidence teaches you to walk boldly into your own space. Over time, this confidence becomes unshakable. It is not loud, not arrogant, not forceful. It is steady, rooted, and grounded in growth. And when you carry that kind of confidence within you, you become unstoppable in every room you enter. Self-education makes you adaptable in a changing world. The world is moving faster than ever, and change has become the only constant. In this whirlwind, self-education is the anchor that keeps you centered while giving you the wings to evolve. It teaches you to stay curious, flexible, and open to transformation. When you commit to learning, you learn how to bend without breaking. You become someone who can adjust, innovate, and reinvent when necessary. Instead of fearing change, you begin to understand it, embrace it, and even anticipate it. Self-education teaches you to let go of rigid thinking. You learn to question your assumptions, revisit your beliefs, and explore new perspectives. This open-mindedness becomes your greatest strength in a world that rewards those who can adapt quickly. As you continue growing, you notice that you become more resilient. Challenges that once overwhelmed you now feel like opportunities to learn something new. You step into uncertainty with a sense of calm because you trust your ability to figure things out along the way. Learning also helps you stay relevant in a world that is constantly shifting. It broadens your skills, sharpens your thinking, and equips you to navigate changes with confidence. You no longer feel left behind because you know how to keep moving forward. Self-education makes you curious again. It brings back the childlike wonder that allows you to explore, experiment, and expand your understanding of the world. Curiosity becomes your compass, guiding you through the journey of growth. With time, adaptability becomes a part of who you are. You evolve not because you are forced to, but because you choose to. And that choice becomes your superpower in a world that never stops changing. Self-education helps you discover who you truly are. In the noise of the world, it is easy to lose yourself, to become someone shaped by expectations, fears, and roles you never chose. Self-education becomes a journey back home to yourself, a gentle unfolding of your true identity. As you learn, you begin to see the parts of yourself you had forgotten. You reconnect with dreams you buried, passions you ignored, and desires you never gave voice to. Learning becomes a mirror that reflects the person you were always meant to be. Through self-education, you become aware of your strengths. You recognize the qualities that make you unique, the talents that feel natural, and the abilities that bring you joy. You begin to understand that your identity is not something to find, but something to build. Learning also shows you your blind spots, not to shame you, but to guide you. You start to understand your habits, your reactions, your patterns. This awareness becomes the first step toward growth, healing, and self-mastery. As you grow, you gain clarity about what truly matters to you. You begin to differentiate between what the world wants from you and what your soul longs for. Self-education aligns you with your purpose, giving you the courage to live authentically. You discover that you are not as lost as you once believed. You were simply unlearned in the language of yourself. With every lesson, you begin to speak that language more fluently, you begin to trust your intuition more deeply, and in the end, you realize that the greatest journey you will ever take is the one within. Self-education becomes your guide, your companion, and your light, helping you uncover the truest, strongest, and most powerful version of who you are. In the end, when you choose to educate yourself, you choose to rise above every limit that life ever placed on you. You choose to step out of the shadows of doubt and into the light of your own becoming. You realize that you were never powerless. You were only waiting to unlock the knowledge that was meant to guide you toward your greatness. And the moment you begin to learn for yourself, you reclaim the strength that was always yours, the strength that transforms your wounds into wisdom and your struggles into stepping stones. The truth is, life will not slow down, opportunities will not wait, and dreams will not chase you. But when you commit to growing through self-education, you become the kind of person who creates opportunities, who builds doors where none exist, who becomes bigger than their fears and braver than their past. Your journey becomes a testament that the human spirit is limitless when fueled by curiosity, courage, and continuous learning. Keep growing, keep searching, keep teaching yourself everything the world forgot to show you, because the moment you do, you become unstoppable, not in the eyes of others, but in the truth of your own soul.